When women dare to fully be themselves, to rise up as the divine beings they are, to operate in their magic, their sexuality, their power, they are always labeled one thing: wicked.
Wicked is a podcast for women who dare to walk in their true identity, power, and magic, who go against societal culture of being seen and not heard, who are the black sheep and powerhouses the structure tries to defeat. And here is your shepherd leading you astray, Mystic.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Wicked. This week I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind a lot recently, mostly because, I get a lot of my inspiration on social media and what seems to be trending topics among the female accounts that I follow. And it's just females in general, not any people taking stances on certain things or any certain kind of group. I just kind of watch what women tend to be talking about a lot. And I titled this episode Mommy Wine Club because there seems to be this idea out there that mom life sucks so much that we have to drink, or that our kids cause us to drink. And it's so trendy of a term that there's t-shirts made about it and coffee cups, jokes about how we are fueled on caffeine and red wine or whatever. And I've been thinking about this a lot and about the Western culture because goddamn, I hate this culture. I gotta tell you. And all of this destruction that's happening right now, I am really fucking happy about it. And it's gonna be painful, this destruction of the West. It really is. And people are gonna lose a lot. And things are gonna come collapsing. But you have to go through this. You have to go through the destruction of something old so that something new can form. And there's so many moving parts here. And I do wish I wrote out an outline because I feel like the last couple weeks of me thinking on this topic, I should have wrote a lot of stuff down and I didn't. Because there's so many things that goes into this culture that needs to be addressed. So I guess I'll just begin and flow with it. And if I need to, I will make a second episode if I think of things later that I forgot to mention. I try and keep these podcasts under an hour, so it's easy listening. But our society is very sick. And it is very separated. We have an illusion of closeness because we have social media. And you have to understand the human brain and the human psyche for you to understand why social media actually creates loneliness. When your brain sees images on a screen, it doesn't know the difference between real and fake. It just knows what it's seeing. This is why porn is so dangerous to men, especially because they're mostly the ones that watch it. Your brain thinks it's having sex when you're pleasuring yourself to porn. And all the same neurotransmitters are firing and wiring. And your body doesn't know it's not having the experience that it's seeing. And it thinks that it's with somebody. This is why video games are dangerous for children that are violent, because the brain thinks it's what it's experiencing, and especially when there's an emotion attached to it, it for sure is real to your brain. So men that are watching porn, there is no difference between them actually being with a female and being alone. Okay? Same things as when they're having sex with you versus when they're watching it on a screen. So they might as well be cheating. If your children are playing violent video games, their brain, because there is an emotional response that happens when they see the violence on that screen. The brain knows no difference. It believes that it's partaking in that violence. I mean, you can disagree with me if you want. That's fine. There's science to back it. When you spend most of your time scrolling on social media and you're not actually seeing people in physical form, a loneliness and a depression is kicking in because you're very disconnected. Because your brain thinks it's getting the connection because it's seeing people talk and it's hearing people talk, and what they're saying is giving you an emotional response. But in reality, you're alone. So you are on a screen and you think you're with people, but then when you look up, you're by yourself. This is why depression greatly increased in the COVID lockdowns, because social media took off. Everybody turned to social media. Oh, we'll have watch parties, and like Amazon had something where you can like invite friends to like watch a movie all at once cyberly. And everybody started doing stuff on social media, but the amount of people that struggled with suicidal depression during that time skyrocketed. The amount of people that got put on meds during that time skyrocketed. Anxiety skyrocketed. Because in reality, outside of virtual reality, we were still alone. And women who are mothers, they may be turning to social media and making reels and doing all of these things about motherhood, but in reality, mothers are still alone. We don't have villages like we used to, especially today, especially mothers who work outside the home, because we are alone taking care of children, and the full burden is on one woman to do it all. The full burden is on her to make sure the kids are fed, that the kids are occupied, that the house is clean. And if she's a working mom, she's doing a 9 to 5 and having to do all of that on top of it with no help. So she's supposed to be in her feminine, in her masculine, doing everything. And there's no one there for her at the end of the day. Postpartum depression, as it is labeled, I fucking hate that term. And the reason I hate it so much is because it is reduced down to some type of chemical imbalance due to your hormones. And to me, this is furthest from the truth. Postpartum depression is just after baby loneliness, because we have a culture that thrives on bounce back. They teach you to stay a maiden and that you're supposed to forget you even had a baby after you've had it. So when you have a baby and your hormones are rushing and roaring, and it's like ecstasy because you're so happy that you have this baby. But then after a couple weeks, when, you know, the visits die down and, you know, maybe your husband's gone back to work or anything like that, suddenly you're just alone. The meals stop coming in, the visitors stop, and something so miraculous as a baby that you just birthed, you want to share that happiness with somebody. But there's nobody there to share it with. And most women are just left alone. And then in a few weeks, they're told, you need to go back to work. Go drop your baby off with a stranger. Bring them to daycare. And the mother is now hooked up to a pump, pumping breast milk. So she's missing her baby very much during that time, even if the mother's not consciously aware of it, because women are taught to not pay attention to their feelings. We are deeply gaslighted out of feeling anything because for centuries we've been called crazy when we do so. She's pumping in the bathroom on a toilet instead of nursing her baby. So the bonding hormones are kicking in, and she is psychologically screaming for her baby. And she's trying to focus at work and do the stupid shit that you're supposed to be doing at work, when all her brain wants to do is say, where the fuck is my baby? I need to care for my baby. And then you go home and you're exhausted from the day, and all you want to do is be with your baby, but you still have to do the cooking and the cleaning and taking care of the other children, and you can't just be with your baby. And the whole mother-baby dyad is broken down. And when you claim that you're depressed during this time period, you will be labeled by a doctor that you have postpartum depression and put on a pill. When really the whole structure is set up against you, because nobody told you that you can't just go back to being a maiden. You can't forget that you just had a baby. Your body won't let you do it. You have hormones in your brain and your body that bond you to that baby. And the more and more society tries to break that, the sicker and sicker the mother's going to be. So then enters in the whole mommy wine club, right? And the whole joke around, yep, I can't wait until 5 o'clock so I can start drinking. This right here shows how sick our fucking culture is. There is nothing more important on this goddamn planet than being a fucking mother. Because as a mother, you are the one that raises up the next generation. And the sickness that you see in this society today is because the mothers are not taken care of properly. It's because they're told they need to be maidens still. And they're told they need to be in their masculine energy. And there is no support for them except for a bottle of wine at the end of the night. So, jokingly or not jokingly, they can't wait to pop open that bottle of wine so that they can forget. And soon they are taught that their regret is having children. And we are to the point now in society that we are actually blaming the children for the issues in the mother. It's because my baby XYZ, or it's because my kids are hyperactive, or it's because my kids won't listen to me, won't blah, blah, blah. But they're kids. They're babies. This is what they are supposed to do. It's not that children inconvenience your life so much that it drives you to drink. It's that our society is determined to keep a mother thinking that her children are an inconvenience. Our society is an inconvenience to you as a mother, and that's the mindset that you need to keep. The issue is not your child. Your child is a pure soul that comes here to wake you the fuck up and to get you to change. With every child you have, a new awakening will happen within you, and you will feel the pressure to change. But what happens is, because our society is so dripped and stuck in the patriarchy, you yourself are brainwashed into it, and you will blame the child, and you will not do the changes needed that the child is asking of you. If you want a path to spiritual enlightenment, you will find it the quickest through your children, because they will demand you to change. But again, our society sets it up so that women literally think that it's the kid that's the problem. And women will literally think it was a mistake having a baby because there's an inconvenience now in their life and they no longer can function in the patriarchal society. And the fact that women are separated on purpose from each other keeps this narrative going, because we're not talking to each other anymore, and we're not sharing that we're going through the same struggles. And we're taught that you have to make it look a certain way on the outside so everybody thinks that you're okay, or else you're going to be labeled. So we keep quiet and we stop talking to each other and we stop gathering. But really it's because we're too afraid to be vulnerable with these other women, and we're too afraid to ask for help, because for centuries we were literally labeled psychotic and locked up for this. It's interesting to me the amount of people I see on social media complaining about this current generation and how confused they are, and how, I don't know what the word is I want to use, because I don't want to really use the word like disobedient, or they complain about the way this current generation does things, that they need guidance, that they need help, that, oh my gosh, I can't believe they act this way. But all this does is show how little our mothers are taken care of in this society. Because if our mothers were taken care of, the children would be healthy. If our women were nurtured and nourished and paid attention to and had a community, and their husbands weren't making it harder on them, and there wasn't demands for performance or demands for them to be masculine, they would be nurtured and nourished, and they will be strong, and they will pass that down to the children. If you want peaceful children, you need to make sure that the mother's peace is preserved. If you want healthy children, you need to make sure that the mother herself is healthy. If you want your children mentally stable, you need to make sure the mother is mentally stable, because every single thing that the mother is passes on to the children, because the children come from the mother. You will never be able to detach that. I know our society does everything it can, even starting with the positive pregnancy test, to cut that mother-baby dyad. But it doesn't matter, because it will always subconsciously, hormonally be there, because that baby came from her. There needs to be a focus on the mother again, on the woman. The sad part of all of this is that society would rather teach you to drink and that it's a funny, comical thing than to actually support the mother. Because that feeds into the current structure that's here. See, the more broken a society is, the more governments can run things. Because governments can take your children, they can teach your children, they can brainwash, do whatever they want. They're doing a great job of it right now. A lot of the things going on with children today, do you think that would happen in a society that had healthy mothers that were able to tend to their babies and not out there pretending that they're maidens because they're told that they need to do that? Your child is not the problem. Society is. You don't want to drink because of your children. You want to drink because of the culture that you live in, because you have no support. You don't have support of other women, of other people in general, and the societal structure absolutely does not support it. They support you drinking. Society supports the structure of mommy breakdowns because we can't take it anymore. Because the more that they convince you that your child is the problem, the more you are willing to put them somewhere else. The more you are willing to drop them off at a government-run daycare or institution or public school or wherever. I homeschool. There are so many women that I meet when they hear that. They say, oh my God, I could never be with my kids all day like that. And when I hear that, it seriously breaks my heart. And I don't feel anything negative towards that woman for saying that. I feel anger and rage for our culture that they have brainwashed a woman to feel that way about her children, that she's so stuck in the patriarchal structures at play that she's literally viewing her children as an enemy. Because if when that woman had her baby and was supported and nurtured and loved in the way that she should have been, she wouldn't look at the relationship with her children in that way. She would want to nourish the relationship with her children. And my guess is the majority of issues that they're having with their children that they want to get away from them are caused by the whole structure of them being apart all day and either having iPads or some type of technology raise the child, or being in daycare facilities with people who they don't love your children. They're being paid to be there. And a lot of this is coming out in the media now, the shit that's going on in daycares. No one's going to love your child like you. And when I see these children that are, acting out, or however you want to label it, the first thing that I think is it's a cry for love. It's a cry for that deep attention and emotional bond of the mother that she's not able to provide, not because she's choosing not to, but because society will not let her, because she's stuck in the patriarchal structure matrix that is keeping her away from her baby. It starts in the goddamn hospitals. And you know this from the last episode I just did with my free birth. I definitely ranted on that. But right in that hospital bed is when they, start to break that bond by getting you to, for years and years and centuries, what they have done to force women out of their natural intuition. It's purposely so that they can raise up generations to look like they do today. Confused as all hell. If we want this to be different, we can't just drink wine at the end of the night to relax. We can't just take whatever drugs. You can even put in natural supplements here, because I know like kava and kratom and all these kinds of things are getting big too, and it's all for the same thing. You're outsourcing again, woman. And if you go back into my first episodes, it's all about bringing yourself back to the temple. You are the source of everything, because you are a divine creature. You don't need to outsource your peace to a bottle of wine, or your calmness to some powdered plant mixture. You can find all of that within you. But it's going to take some facing. It's going to take facing your fears. It's going to take breaking down your current structure and really allowing your children to transform who you are and to pull the plug on things that are not working anymore. And that may mean restructuring your whole life. And that may mean a wake-up call of who you allow to surround you. But a lot of people don't want to let that go out of fear. But you need to do it for your children. Your child is not the enemy. They are here to enlighten you. They are your invitation to soul evolution. I saw this video on TikTok. Yeah, I have been spending some time over there these days after a long time of not. But boy, do I find some good content on there for my episodes here. There was this woman, I was watching her video, and she claims to be a feminist. Completely the polar opposite of what I would define as a feminist. She's a patriarchal feminist. Doesn't realize it, but she is. And she is saying that patriarchy and the whole problem with our society is the nuclear family, because women always suffer at the hand of the nuclear family because they are not advanced in their careers or in their college degrees, and they're stuck at home raising children. And I really couldn't believe how brainwashed she was, because she's missing the point. And she was saying how women need to stop getting married and stop having babies and focusing on their careers and their education. And all I could think of was, everything you're talking about is the patriarchy. That's all masculinity. Why would I, as a woman, want to give up children to go get a college degree or to have some job in a corporate structure. See, there's this old school thinking that feminism is putting women in the workplace or putting them in the education system because we weren't allowed to do that at one point. And if you want to do that, there's nothing wrong with that. But I will tell you, it will never fulfill you the same way having a baby will, because you were literally made to do that. Men cannot have babies. As much as our psychotic, sick society wants to try to say that men can have babies and be women, there is nothing more offensive than that. But you know what? I truly think that that needed to happen because it woke a lot of women the fuck up. This is what is waking women up out of patriarchy, because we have sat by the sidelines just letting things flow by and letting men ruin our fucking lives, letting men do whatever. But now it's to the point that men are saying, you are so obsolete, all I have to do is put a dress and a wig on and I'm you. And that got a lot of women mad. And some women have Stockholm syndrome so bad of the patriarchy that they will literally fight for men to be in the same bathroom as them and fight for them to be in women's spaces because they don't want them feeling uncomfortable. This is how embedded patriarchy is into the women. They will fight against their own self to make sure a man is comfortable. But nobody is fighting for the woman that way. Who is fighting for the comfort of the woman? They're not. They're just telling you fake feminism that it's better for you to go to work than it is to have babies. Because a woman having a baby is in her 1,000% power. There's nothing more powerful than that. And that's why they rob it from you in the hospital. They will rob that power from you. I roared my baby into existence. The darkness and the depths of the void that I walked through and the pain that I walked through, that is not ever something I wanted to avoid. That's something I wanted to walk through with pride. It's not something I tried to control. I let it come, I let it take me over, and I roared my baby out of my body in power. No one can tell me a fucking thing. And this baby, way more difficult than my first one. Malachi was a unicorn baby, that's for sure. But in all of these nights of crying when I'm only getting 2 hours of sleep, and all of the things that are taking place in my home because things are so different than with my first son, I stare at this baby and I ask constantly in my mind, what are you asking me to change about me? What isn't working? Because all of the things that I want to go back to doing that I was doing prior, I can't. I'm too sleep deprived. He is always needing my attention, but he's number one. There's nothing more important than him right now. So I just keep looking at him and I say, what are you asking me to change about my life? Because I know that this baby is going to be my soul's biggest evolution right now. And my first was too. I left a whole entire marriage because of it. Babies will wake you the fuck up. But a lot of people don't want to make those changes that babies are asking you to do. You will blame the baby because you don't want to face the fears of the change. I'll tell you what, I will let everything and everybody go in my fucking life for my baby. I don't give a shit who you are. My babies come first. And I will revamp my whole life. And I will put it all on the line because I know I'm not sacrificing anything for that baby. That baby is my enlightenment. And I can tell you that I may have thought I was a strong woman before. I am floored at my own power of what I'm capable of with this baby. What I'm capable of still doing on 2 hours of sleep. I get a lot of my podcast content from this baby. This baby's changing my life. It started during pregnancy. And when you can be in tune and you're left the fuck alone and you're not being bullied by doctors to worry about everything, and you can just be in the energy of your baby, that baby will start changing your life on
You will know you're pregnant before you're even pregnant because you feel that spirit. If you listen to the subtleties, that baby will start changing you and you'll start getting different perceptions of the world right away. And it's everything that that baby needs. It's for your own advancement and own enlightenment. But the drinking that's promoted and all of the other things, all it does is it pushes down the spirituality. Getting tipsy or drunk or anything like that, those things help you to disassociate from the things that you don't want to face. My whole life is, other than being dedicated to my children, is dedicated to spiritual advancement. Has been for a long time. I never stop studying. I never stop advancing when it comes to this. This is why I have my School of the Mystical Arts. I am dedicated to the spiritual path and helping others on theirs. I will never drink away or supplement my way or medicate my way out of the fears that the spiritual path is making me face. Right now, it's my baby that is on my path that is making me face things about my own self that I know that I need to change so I can advance spiritually. Every single baby is a spiritual gift to you. And when I'm 3 or 4 days on 2 to 4 hours of collected sleep a night, that will make you mental. You will have all kinds of thoughts that are depressing or anxiety filled. You'll feel down about yourself. Most mothers, their depression is talking shit to their own selves because they don't feel good enough. And I was journaling things about my own self, and I would read them the next day after I had gotten some sleep. I had no idea I thought that way about myself. And it sucked facing that. Like, wow, I think that low of myself. And I didn't excuse it away as, well, I just thought about like that because I was on low sleep. No, that thought was there because it's deep in there somewhere that I actually believe this about me. And I had to face that. And I thanked my baby for it because I got to heal parts of me that I didn't even know needed healing. I never knew it. Never knew those parts of me existed. And as it was coming out, I was like, wow, I have a lot of self-healing to do still in the self-worth category. And I've been working on that for these 9 months, and it's been fantastic. Your baby can be a blessing to you in those moments, but it's because women are so isolated and taught otherwise, they literally turn on their own babies. Your baby's not the problem, your schedule is. Your baby's not the problem, your husband is. Your baby's not the problem, your job is. Your baby's not the problem, the fucking toxic Western culture you live in is. See, if women had community and communication with each other outside of social media, we would be supporting each other. We would be helping each other cook and clean and take care with the kids. And, oh, okay, you want to go get a mani? Sure. Bring the kids over and then we'll switch and I'll go get one. There would be help. But we're limited now because society taught women to hate each other and that we're catty and gossipy and can't get along. So we're separated and we're alone. And we feel like we have nobody in those moments. And so we cry with our postpartum depression that is really just postpartum loneliness because you should be celebrating a life. Instead, you're sitting alone on no sleep, not knowing what to do, while your husband is out going to work and living his life still. And you're actually made to feel guilty about that. There's a account that I follow it's on Instagram. I'm signed up for their newsletter. I don't really want to name what it is because I don't want to sound like I'm attacking this account. Because I'm not. I really do stand for what they do. She had put out a newsletter talking about the toxic algorithm of Instagram and how it constantly pushes content of mothers struggling to put out some type of like energy that women are alone, that mothering is so hard and it's lonely and depressive. And she's like, she was saying how this isn't how motherhood has to be, but like the algorithms are constantly promoting this type of content, so mothers are making it. and, because it gets them follows and likes and whatever. And I was really depressed when I read this, or I won't use the word depressed. I was upset when I read this because no, I'm sorry. It's not the algorithm. Women wouldn't be liking the content if they didn't resonate with it. And women, yeah, I do feel like it's weird when people record themselves crying on a phone. I don't know. This part of our society today is really freaking me out. Recording yourself crying and having a breakdown as a mother and then posting that. However, I don't think a mother's wiping away her tears because that was all acting and then posting it for attention. All I do is when I was reading this article and seeing the examples that she was posting, I just saw a society of sick women, and the 11.5 thousand likes and 10,000 shares and thousands of comments of women agreeing. Man, it blew my mind open, and I really felt like the author of this article was missing the point. All of the mothers in our society are sick and alone. And it's not going to change until we rise up together and decide this program is going to stop. Here's the thing, ladies. Everything in our society is like it is because we allow it. We have to take responsibility for this. Huge complaints about the way men act today. I can't even comprehend it. It's very bizarre to me. Oh God, I'm not even going to get into that. It's a whole other podcast topic. Maybe I'll invite a man on and we'll actually have a little chit chat. That'll be fun. The behaviors that we don't like from the men and the society as a whole, how we aren't liking it to function. That all happens because we go along with it. We agree to it. And if you're waiting for the men to change it, you're part of the problem because that's patriarchy. Our oppressor is not ever going to release us. We are the oppressed. And the oppressed need to rise up and free themselves because your oppressor is never going to free you. Again, I am not a man hater. Maybe borderline a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a man hater. I am a system hater. But because the system is for males, their brains are default in this. And it starts with us saying, we are not going to tolerate this type of behavior anymore. And again, I'm trying not to veer too much off the topic here, but this kind of ties in. When I'm seeing women chase after these low-life men that aren't giving them the time of day or have no chivalry, or I don't comprehend really what's defined as a man today. I don't even want to use that word really, but these I don't even want to say boys because it's an insult to our children. So the males of today, the males of today, when we chase after that, we're telling them, yeah, we like that. And the more we don't stand up and put up boundaries because we have fears of being alone or being abandoned as a woman, the more we don't stand up to that and put boundaries out of fear, they will keep behaving that way. We're telling them it's okay. Sure, I'll stay and I'll tolerate. Sure, yeah, I'm still going to chase you because even though you do all this shit. The way the system is working right now, and they put out music to purposely make you have the mindset that women are always jealous of you and that they're catty and gossipy and blip, blip, blip. And yeah, I'm not saying that doesn't exist, okay, in female circles. It certainly does. But it's also a lot of brainwashing to keep us in that energy so we stay away from each other. At some point, we have to wake up and say, no, we're not going to do this anymore. And when you have the urge to talk shit about another woman, you keep your fucking mouth shut and change yourself. And you'll just realize she's triggering something in me. I need to work through something right now. And you'll keep your fucking mouth shut. If you're jealous of another woman, you will work on that aspect of you of why you are envious of her, why you're not just looking at it as an invitation that you can also achieve what she's achieving. At some point,
We ourselves need to change out of the patriarchal brainwashing and say no to that and rise up and stand up and do something completely different. And we need to join together and do that hand in hand in circles. We need to stop being so judgy of each other and realize we are all on a fucking process. And all of the women that are judgy of each other, it's really because we're that judgmental of our own selves. We're that hard on our own selves. So every time you're being judgy to another woman, just reverse that inwards, because somewhere inside you are that judgmental of your own self. And see, if we can heal that woman wound that we have within each other, we have to do that in group with each other and be open and honest about it, because we are all struggling with the same thing. We all have the same wound. It was given to us by the patriarchy. And if we can figure out how to heal it and trust each other again, all of this sickness in society will go away. And a lot of the women are looking to the men to take care of them in a specific way. But really, you can't expect a man to take care of you the same way another woman can. Women know how to nurture and how to care. And there's a specific type of nurturing that women do love to receive from men that women cannot provide. The nurturing is very different. There's a difference between protector, provider, and a nurturer. There's a certain type of nourishment, of course, that you want from your partner, but it is not going to replace what another woman can do for you. I'm sorry. Because we understand each other on a specific level. We understand because we are in the same emotional intelligence and emotional psyche. You cannot expect a man who has like a straight line hormone system that doesn't follow moon cycles, that doesn't go through death and rebirth cycles every single month, and doesn't have babies, and doesn't experience moods and anything the same way as you do. You cannot put that type of pressure on a man to understand that, because a man is in his left brain logical thinking. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we need that opposite. But we also need someone who can actually understand us and nourish us the same way and how we need, which comes from female relationships. You can't put an expectation on a male of something that they're not even capable of experiencing, because literally the chemicals in their bodies will never allow them to experience that. I don't care about these fake women today that are really men taking hormones. You can take all the synthetic hormones you want. You will never be us. You will never experience what it's like to be in sync with the moon. You will never experience the highs and lows. You will never experience periods or giving birth. No matter how many pills you fucking take, you will never be us. But woman, you have to stop expecting your man to step in and be everything that you need them to be. You need females in your life. You need supportive females in your life. This is exactly what I'm trying to cultivate in my school. Man, it like blisses me out the way I see the women supporting each other in just like simple things of like what they're doing in their day to day and the encouragement we all give each other. That's what we need. We talk about our periods and, did you ever notice like right before you're ovulating, you feel like XYZ, and then like right after you feel like this. And then we're all like commenting and it's like, wow, yeah, okay. Like, look, we're figuring out our own cycles because we're talking to each other. And I can't wait for the fucking day. And it is my biggest prayer right now to my spirits to get me to a point and to get me on a piece of land where I can be holding this in person. And I cannot fucking wait for that day. And I know the timing will be perfect when it happens. This is what women need. We need to be supporting and nurturing each other, okay? When we do that, we're automatically going to put a different type of pressure on the men to stand up, because you're not putting a pressure on them to be the woman in your life that you need. But we're also, because we have the support of other women of what is right and wrong in a relationship, to say, I'm not putting up with this. These are my boundaries. Or this is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is okay for me. This isn't. And by you stepping into your divine femininity, you're automatically calling up the men.
And right now, while women are on this verge of having fucking breakdowns and saying, we're all gonna stay single, we're all just gonna live together and be on a commune of women, fuck the men, we're done, we're not having babies no more. This is going on right now. I didn't even realize it until I got back on TikTok, but I'm like seeing all these videos. I'm like, holy shit, women are fucking really like pulling from society right now and being like, fuck you, we ain't playing any role no more. We're just gonna like live with each other and be happy because all you men fucking suck. And you know what? I loved seeing that. You know why? It meant that the current structure's breaking down and women are waking the fuck up. And so when a woman, this is going to be a painful process, but when the women are standing up for their divine femininity because they're finally waking up out of the patriarchy now, and they're trying to figure it out along the way. Now, that woman I mentioned earlier who's like patriarchal feminist, maybe she'll figure it out down the line that like that structure is actually the enemy. But like she's in the process too. I'm not hating on her. We're all in a process somewhere on this path, you know? And then we meet people and talk to other women and we start to advance, okay? And as we as women are figuring this out and we start saying no to the mommy wine culture and to the, you know, other patriarchal structures that are going on that are actually completely against the natural flow of what a woman loves and does, by us doing that, the entire structure of the patriarchal male starts to disintegrate. Yes, it will be painful. Yes, it will be destructive as fuck because we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of years of genetic DNA structure in the patriarchy. But it will fall and it will fail, and you're automatically calling up a rise of the divine masculine in those males. And they're out there. I've also seen them on TikTok. But there are men that are walking in their divine masculinity. But the woman needs to also be walking in her divine femininity to call out that masculinity. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen. The weak men that don't want to face their shadow work and don't want to face everything that they could possibly be doing wrong because, you know, that'll hurt their ego. The ones that don't want to face that, they will run. They will run. But the ones that are like, holy fuck, I better change, they will rise up. And if you're with a runner, you gotta let them run. It's the only way. You gotta let the runners run, and you can't be a chaser. You need to trust that as you're walking in your divine femininity, it's going to rise up the divine masculinity in your partner or in the men around you. And if they run, you let them run. This is going to be a very painful process in our society, but it needs to be done so that we can start walking both in divine femininity and divine masculinity. Because I'll tell you what, women are sick of trying to be masculine all the time. All the sickness in our society and in our culture is because women are in their masculine. How can we be a mother to our children if we are told we need to be in the masculine all the time? That's why Mommy Wine Club exists. Because we're drinking away the guilt of not being in our femininity. We're drinking away our femininity to stay in our masculine because that's what society is grooming us to do. It's time that we rise up and fucking say, no, enough is enough. Stop this. I will not partake in this patriarchal structure anymore. I will not let my daughters grow up and partake in it. I will not let my little boy grow up to be a patriarchal male in this society. When the women are taken care of and they rise up and say enough is enough, it will change. And we need to start taking care of each other in order for this change to happen. Ladies, this right here, right now is your call to rise up and say enough. It's the call for you to rise up and be wicked, to rebel against the system with all your heart, body, and soul, and save the next generation of children. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn how to become even more wicked, check out School of the Mystical Arts, where you will find me daily teaching and connecting. Be part of a community filled with other badass women supporting each other and manifesting their dreams. schoolofthemysticalarts.com. A link to a 3-day free trial is in the show notes. I'll see you there.